Me, Tony. You look good. You been working out? Yeah, me neither. All right, now that's us over with. Small talk. We're looking at some inadequacies. And I don't mean me. I mean this here, this right over. I don't know if it shows. I'll get you up close in a sec. But what we have is we have a drastic difference in between our fender and our door. The fender looks like it's down. But in actuality, when you measure it, what it is the door is taller. I don't know why, it just is. I don't know how that would happen in the stamping, because you would think that when they're stamping these door skins out of the factory, ba-dang, 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 they're all going to get stamped out the same. Well, something happened. Because I mean, all our other distances, these body lines, everything else, it all fits up. But this up cha, no bueno. I'll show you. Bear with me. Okay, here we go. Hey, not bad, not bad. Uh-oh. Holy hell. What? Holy jumpins'. See what I'm saying there? Focus, you son of a bitch. There it is. Hey? No, that's not good. Now an odd thing is, that's not filler. Oh, look at that dirty knuckle. There we go. That's not filler, that's steel. All shittied up in there. I don't know, whatever. That's the way Dodge done it. I didn't do it. And really, I mean, there's no point in getting in there and trimming that out. So this car, it's from the start with the owner. It's a 16-year-old's first car. So that's kind of been the program with it. It's a 16-year-old's first car, and they're going to put a big motor in it. So car might last forever. Car might wind up going through a ditch, around a tree, and into a lagoon. It's hard to say. Car might wind up being Dukes of Hazzard over a creek. I don't know. But so anyways, at first, it wasn't a big deal, but we've kind of changed gears now on it a little bit. And this is not acceptable anymore. It's not that big a deal though. I mean, I can fix it. It won't take a ton of time, and it's not going to affect, I mean, the rest of the panel is done, but this isn't going to affect a whole bunch. What we're going to have to do to fix this is, and I ain't cutting the door down, because what are you, nuts? So since the fender's a skin, hopefully it's not pinched around, like there's an inner bracework that runs down the fender down here. In a previous video, you'd have seen me section and replace the bottom. If you haven't, just go on back and check it out. It's a hoot. Anyways, there's that inner bracework down there, and this skin is folded over. Inner bracework, fender, it's folded over on the edge and it's spot welded here and there. I don't think that I'm going to come across a spot weld in the way here. So the idea is that I'm going to make a cut just down from this line, and it's probably going to be, like, it's going to have to go back a ways. And what I'll do is I'll spread it. Once I make that cut, then I'll spread the fender up till it's in line with the door. Then we'll put a filler strip in that will be a long, skinny pie-shaped filler strip in, and then that'll hold fender up. And then that should get our lines up. Reason we're going to have to go back here is so that we can get a gradual progression of the fender coming up. Because it's, I mean, the fender's okay, it's the door that's the problem. I think the door must have a gradual progression coming up too, but we're not, like I said. And you can't just smash it with a hammer and knock it down, and you can't just bring the fender up, because with that almost 1/4 of an inch, if we bring the fender up, well, nothing fits. I have run into this before. It was on a newer Dart, a couple of years newer, and it was a Dart again, 71, I believe. Actually, I think it was the one I made a hard top into a convertible. The owner wanted a car that they never made, So he brought me a older Dart GT convertible. I think it was a 68, maybe 69. I don't recall what year it started, but I made it into a 71 because Dodge never made that. And the reason he wanted a 71 was because he wanted a 71 Dart convertible swinger Hemi car, because I guess 71's last year the Hemi. Oh, with a shaker scoop too. So he brought me a real shaker hood from a Cuda, whatever, and I handmade a shaker hood for the car. I wish I was videoing stuff for, you know, back then, because damn, it turned out to be a nice car. The way I made it was I took the 69 and I cut the keister off of the 71 and welded it onto the 69 because the keisters are different. But we're off topic of the fender now. In that car where the story started, one of the fenders that he brought me was 3/8 of an inch too short. And it was a factory fender. And when you measured the fender length, it was 3/8 of an inch too short. That causes a problem when you're doing stuff. So, and I mean, it was a fender from a car. This is a door from a car. This is a fender from a car. I mean, I don't know how the factory pieced this shit together so that it flew under the radar, but they managed to do something because they were all out there. So anyways, I'll get this ready. As I said, I'm gonna make a cut in her, and I'm gonna go just below this line 1/4 of an inch or so. The reason I want to do that is because I want to keep the strength that's in the top of this fender that's from that angle being hammered on there. Just to make sure that we don't have any problems with heat or anything, because my weld is going to get to be a pretty concentrated weld once we get in there. So this is going to be a gas. All right, I'm going to pause you for a minute and do stuff. Okay, made the cut. What I use to make the cut is this little bugger right here. I like these. I don't know if you can get them. So here in the United Republic of Canada, we have Princess Auto. And I believe in the States, what would be the equivalent would be Harbor Freight, I think it's called. Which is more to the point, Harbor Freight, because it sounds like a place where you're just getting Chinese shit. And that's what it is Chinese shit. And that's what Princess Auto is too, Chinese shit. Princess Chinese Shit Auto. Anyways, this grinder, I like it, because where'd the grinder go? It's a nice, small little unit. It works dandy, works just as good as anything else. You plug an air line into it. And the thing I like best about it is they put these little buggers on sale for anywhere between $9 and $12, which in American dollars is about $1.85, I think. I don't know. But for a little $10 grinder, I don't know if you can see, there's no paint left on this thing because this little bugger is so old. It's got to be 15 or 20 years old, and I use it regularly. And it still works. And it was $10. And it's little, so you can get it in there everywhere. And I didn't pay Snap-on or Mac Tools or anybody else $300 stinking for a die grinder. Could have bought 30 of them. See what I'm saying? All right, anyways. 32nd of an inch hoo jar I got on here, death wheel, cut off McJigger. Made a cut, like I said. It is not tack welded to the unit brace there, so I will be able to spread it. And what I'm going to do is get in there and basically spread it open like that. Now I'm sure there you can't really tell, but that's not spreading evenly, like it's putting a dip into it. So what I'll be doing is I'll be getting yet another something, and I'll spread her apart up here a little bit too. And then what I'll do is like I said, I'll cut a strip of steel and weld in there. And then the biggest thing to make sure is that our upper line stays linear, okay? That's what I'm talking about. So, but anyways, that's what we done. That's how we done it. That's what we done. That's how we done it. That's the way we done it. And that's why we done it. And so, as I said, to fix this, now I'll cut a little strip of steel to put in there. and weld her in. And as I said, it's not going to be very invasive in the fender to fix that. And then when we're done, hey, see what I'm saying? Hey? I still don't get it, but I measured, and this door to that door, from here to here, is like 3/16 of an inch difference in height of the door. What are you gonna do? That door actually, even it sits lower on this cowl at this point on the other side. There's a cowl showing it. Whatever, don't matter. You just got to deal with it and fix it. Once again, get another door. Well, you know, there's a lot of trees around here. There's no dart doors hanging off the trees. I guess it wouldn't have to be a dart door because, as we know, if you're a Dodge guy, you know that these doors go anywhere from 67 Dodge darts up to, I don't even know, 75, 76 Dodge darts, which were a duster, and they fit all years in between. So, I mean, if you could have one door and you could buy yourself 78 different cars over the course of your lifetime, and you could put that same door in every one of those cars. Whoop-de-doo, whoop-de-doo, whoop-de-doo. I'm gonna do some more stuff and then we'll be right back. Does that make sense so far? Thought I'd bring you in part way here and show you what's going on. So, are you focused? See that big, hideous, big booger on the end there? This hideous booger right. So what's going on here is, I had to spread this, as we discussed. So you gotta get in there and you gotta lift it up to where we need it, right? To get her up there even with the door. I don't know if that's a good angle. It's even with the door now, anyways. So, you gotta hold it up to where you need it, but at the same time, you're gonna have to weld a piece in there, right? Now, how are you gonna hold that up and weld the piece in there when you gotta access it there to get it up? So what this is a big hideous booger weld. So what I did was, come here you bastard. I took a bigger screwdriver that fills that gap up and I hammered her in there. Held the gap where we wanted it. Actually I had it way over my chump. So with that in place, holding the fender where we want it, I then took my welder, don't get seasick on me, hey? And then I put a weld up there, then I put a weld down there. Then I put a weld up there, then I put a weld down there. See what I'm saying? Up and down and up and down and up and down without joining them. I tacked a drop up there and I tacked a drop down there. And I just slowly stacked each drop and I let them cool each time. Put a drop of weld on there while it's red, let it turn black, then put another drop on. Until I built up enough on the bottom and enough hanging off the top that I just had just a paper width space in between them. Now I've got 3/4 of my bridge built, but the heat and the shrinking of said weld, the welds haven't joined yet, the two welds, so they're not affecting the panel yet. Does that make sense? So when I got to that end point where I had just the tiniest little gap in between my hanging booger and my built up lump on the bottom, I gave her one more snap in between, and then that gave me the least amount of weld in that gap to shrink and pull. Now here, we're gonna be like, it's a pretty good gap, but not big enough to put a piece of steel in. So when I made these welds, I did the same thing, but with a little screwdriver. I put a screwdriver in, as you can see. Well, I've even had to grind some of the welds off my screwdriver. Put a screwdriver in there, welded right beside it. Moved it over there, welded right beside it. Put it over, welded right beside it. And I held the screwdriver in that gap where I wanted it until that weld cooled. And if you want to feel it pull, try something like that, and you'll feel that screwdriver move in that gap as that metal tries to pull together. And you keep your screwdriver in there to keep it from pulling together. So then what'll happen is, instead of the metal pulling together, the weld will stretch a little bit as it cools, and you'll maintain your gap that you need here to keep your height that we need up here. You feel me? Does that make sense? So now, As stated, I got a little stupid little piece of steel that I'm going to weld in here. That's going to fill up that gap. And it's going to be a whole lot of snip here, snap there. Snip here, snap there. Snip here, snap there. You see what I'm saying? Ziggity, wibbity, 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 bibbity, bobbity, boop, back and forth to get that in there. And this one is going to have to fit tight because we're going to be relying on this piece here, this big fat thin, skinny toothpick to maintain our bridge, to maintain our gap, because this has to stay up. And if you just let something shrink here, it's going to pull that top line down. And as it is right now, I mean, we got everything where we want it. So I'm going to go ahead and do a bunch of that because you don't want to see that. And then yeah, I'll bring you back in towards the finished product and we'll take another look-see. Stupid dodges. Tell me, Tony, if you would, how do you hold that little piece of steel in there to get your first couple of welds on there? Because every time I put a magnet beside where I'm going to weld, my weld goes for shit because of the magnetic field that's there. Well, Mr. Jimmy Boy, you can just hold it on there with a little piece of tape. Put your tack weld beside your piece of tape, and then tear your tape off. Yoink! See what I'm saying? Around here, we use protection. It ain't 3M, but it'll keep me from burning that door edge. That's a welding sleeve just hung over the edge. Yep, There it is. Today's recipe for turning chicken shit into chicken salad. Welded my piece in, a little bit of gap welding. Pay attention and keep checking if you ever do something like this to make sure, because as I said, when your welds shrink, they're going to pull it. And there was, as I was doing it, there was a few, where the hell's my hat? Holy jumpers. Hold it. Holy jeez. I was looking pretty unkept. Quite a few of the little tack welds that I had to cut, break them, and then get in and respread it. So what I was doing was I just kept on checking with the straight edge as I was going and checking for a gap underneath my straight edge. See, you've got no gap. So a couple of times when I checked, there was a little gap forming. So wherever that weld was, I had to cut it, get in there, spread it, re-weld it. But all in all, it worked out. I'll get you a little closer so you can see, but yeah, that's pretty much it. It was, like I said, it was the door that was the problem, but it's way easier to fix the door than the fender. And now, again, as with other parts on this car, you ain't taking this fender from this car and putting it on another car because it ain't gonna fit. But in the same respect, neither is that door. So here we go. Here, I'll get you in a little closer here. So I'm gonna shake the shit out of you for a minute. It's going to be awesome. You're really going to like it. See what I'm saying? Oh! So yeah, there it is. Remember how bad our gap was? Well, we're there now. Our door gap. I mean, Dodges are always kind of funky there to start with, so this one's no different. And yeah, that's it. There it is. Fixed. Be a little bit of... Luckily, this had to be done while this is still in 120 grit, which is a lot better than while it's purple. Well, from here, that gap just looks funky, doesn't it? It's not bad, though. Pretty good. So I guess there it is. That ends this one. You know what? Like they say, if it was easy, your wife would be doing it. Whoa.